Hey guys, it's Yao. Welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I'm going to be going over everything that I read in March. So without further ado, let's just get straight into the video. Now I will share with you guys some of my reading analytics for March. So I read a total of 1,494 pages. My average rating was 3.6 stars. My most read genres were YA, graphic novel, and LGBTQIA+. My most read moods were lighthearted and funny. And I read mostly fast-paced books and ones that were under 300 pages. And now let's get into the first book that I finished in March. So the first book that I finished is called The Girl from the Sea. The Girl from the Sea is a graphic novel, and it's by the same author who wrote the Witch Boy trilogy, which some of you guys may have heard of before. So basically, what this book is about is it's a queer love story between a 15-year-old girl named Morgan and a Selkie named Kelty. And if you didn't know what a Selkie is, I didn't know before reading this either, but it's this creature that can turn into a human and a seal. And so now let's get into my overall thoughts for this book. So I gave this book a 3 stars. Firstly, Kelty deserved so much better than the treatment that she was getting from Morgan. So Morgan isn't out and she's pretty mean to Kelty in front of her friends at first. And it's safe to say that at the beginning, her treatment of Kelty made me dislike Morgan's character. And I found her to be cowardly because of the way she was treating Kelty in front of her friends. Also, her dynamic with her friends was weird, and I didn't find it to be a wholesome friendship. It just seemed kind of uncomfortable. That being said, it was cute and atmospheric, and it was giving summer vibes. I liked how easily I got sucked into the story. I also appreciated the LGBTQI representation, as well as the exploration of themes relating to friendships, the environment, and identity. Content warning, this book has outing. Volume 1. So if you guys watched my vlog where I found my first 5-star read of 2024, then you know how I feel about this book already. So Heartstopper is a very popular boy meets boy graphic novel, which most of you guys have probably heard about. It involves Charlie, an openly gay boy, and Nick, a rugby player who has a golden retriever personality is what I would describe it as. So Charlie and Nick start off as friends, but Charlie assumes that Nick doesn't like him back because he doesn't know if Nick is into boys or not. He just assumes that he doesn't like him back. So now let's move on to my thoughts. Guys, this book literally surprised me so much because I was bored the first time I tried to read it, and this is probably because I am not the biggest fan of graphic novels. With graphic novels, it feels like I'm not actually reading because there's a lot to take in, and I feel like if I don't take in every single detail, I'm cheating. It's just like something that I feel like, but yeah. And I gave volume 1 a 5 stars, and objectively, it's more of a 4 stars, maybe 4.5 stars. But the feeling I got when I read this book was just very comforting, and I really appreciated this lighthearted and funny and just happy book after reading so much heavy books. Not heavy, books with like heavier topics earlier in the year. And I found Charlie and Nick to be pretty likable characters, even if their romance was just a tiny bit cheesy sometimes. This book tugged at my heartstrings. It was wholesome and funny, and it was the ultimate comfort read. After reading Heartstopper Volume 1, I read the second Heartstopper Volume 2, and the description on Goodreads for what this book is about, it literally just says, quote unquote, Nick and Charlie are... Okay. This was tilted a little. Nick and Charlie are best friends. Nick knows Charlie's gay, and Charlie is sure that Nick isn't. But love works in surprising ways, and Nick is discovering all kinds of things about his friends, his family, and himself. So this is basically Nick's journey with coming out, and there's not really a plot. The whole series is mostly character driven from what I've seen so far, just from reading the first 2 books, but this one especially lacked a plot. Volume 2 of Heartstopper a 4 stars because I personally felt like it lacked a bit of a direction because there was even less of like a plot than the first one. And also I felt like Nick and Charlie were very romantic with each other, and sometimes it was a little over the top and it was tiresome to get through. So it still had a lot of the same elements that I appreciated from the first graphic novel. So yeah, objectively it's more of a 3.5 stars or 3 stars, but I'm biased because I find Heartstopper very comforting. Yeah. So let's move on to the next book, and the last one that I finished in March. The final book that I finished in March is the adapted for young readers version of Born a Crime, and this one is titled It's Trevor Noah, Born a Crime, Stories from a South African Childhood. So, my thoughts on this one. I gave this book 3 stars, and I agree with the general consensus, because this is a very popular memoir, that Born a Crime is a multifaceted memoir blending issues like apartheid, domestic violence, and poverty, which are all very important societal issues, with humor, emotion, and insights. And the emphasis on education throughout this memoir was particularly noteworthy to me, but I did notice an instance where a certain topic was glossed over, and that was Trevor's experiences of receiving beatings from his mother. And this is not really extensively explored, but only mentioned a couple of times, but it was enough where it felt a little bit concerning to me. And the memoir often portrays his mother in a heroic light, which does make sense given what happens near the end. But it felt somewhat disconcerting to me, and his family and his upbringing and family dynamics present rich material for deeper exploration, but I feel like the narrative opts for a more surface level treatment of these complexities. The thing I read in March is a short story that I had to read for school, and this is titled Lamb to the Slaughter, and it's by Roald Dahl, and I'm going to review this one with spoilers because I kind of just want to rant about it. So skip this part if you still want to read this, and yeah. In this short story, a pregnant woman decides to kill her husband with a frozen lamb leg because he wants to leave her. He does offer to pay for everything she needs though. So at first I didn't like it because I didn't agree with her decision at all, but I eventually gave it 3 stars because I think her intense feelings of anger and helplessness toward her husband really captured in the story. So while I do not think her actions are justifiable, I did I knew where that feeling was coming from, and yeah. Because the emotion there is relatable for sure, even though the actions are wrong. So yeah, gave it 3 stars because I like reading about angry women. Another one of my favorites by Roald Dahl, which is about an angry woman or angry girl, is The Magic Finger, and it's about this girl who uses her finger to just punish people whenever she's angry. Not punish people, just act out whenever she's angry. And I do not agree with actions, but I find the feeling relatable, and that's why I like reading these types of stories. That's gonna be the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Sending you so much love as always, and bye bye.